By the way, if you guys are just joining me, my name is Jeremy Heights. So thank you for watching and welcome to the show. Let's show you guys my little intro package here. It's gonna get things kind of just reset a little bit as we start the show once again here. But once again, guys, my name is J to the E to the R to the E to the M to the Y, Jeremy Heights, and you know that well, I'm just gonna say I like to be in the clouds and I like to stay high. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. I said it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day to be this good, a beautiful day. Yay, 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 yay. A beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the average hood, a beautiful day to be black and it's okay. It's a beautiful day. So won't you come out and play? But yeah, that's my lame rendition of "It's a Beautiful Day in the Hood." I'm gonna say it's a beautiful day in the hood because yeah, it's a beautiful day in the hood always. The hood is no different from any other regular neighborhood. A lot of people get that misconception about the hood and say like, oh, it's full of criminals, it's full of gangbangers and drug dealers and those bad people that you don't want to see. Oh no, there's too many big, angry looking, scary black people over there, and we can't go over there because then they're gonna. No, no, Becky, no, no, Becky, you can come to the barbecue. Just don't say that at the barbecue, Becky. Karen, you can come to the supermarket. Just don't do that at the supermarket over here, okay? And that's the thing about 2023 and just the world of today that really boggles my mind is people have these misconceptions in their heads of how they think people are, or who they think is a threat, who they think is not a threat. And it's pretty stupid. It's pretty redundant. For just the simple fact, you don't know everybody. You don't know what's going on in someone's head. You don't know how they feel. So don't you sit up there and try to make any call on their judgment on like, oh, this is what they're. No. And I say that also, once again, going back to my post that I posted earlier on my Facebook, I believe it was saying about that there's a lot of fakeness going on when you see some people, or some people don't really focus the attention on the right things. And that is true. That's something that I've noticed a lot when it comes to certain profiles, certain pages, etc. And I've unfollowed those people. I've, went through there. I've taken my fair share of receipts so that way I can show people this. And it even comes down to it. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to do anything personal like that on this show because that's not what we do over here. We don't just slander people. But I definitely will say some of these political candidates you guys got up there are not all that they say to be. And that includes some of the ones you guys are actually rooting for, which is pretty redundant. Once again, because it's like you guys are rooting for a change that's never going to happen. So I find that hilarious. But I do want to speak on just the fact that a lot of people don't really think about how some of these things affect the people around, such as those people who are living in those, you know, hoods, as I'm going to call it. Not the neighborhood, like our good old buddy there, Mr. Rogers here, where we're just chilling in the neighborhood, having a good old time. Because I know you all grew up or remember in some aspect what Mr. Rogers was, but it's just the fact you're living in the hood. And the hood is like an everyday average thing now because, well, since the time of the show of Mr. Rogers and stuff, the world has changed tremendously. We now have social media. We've now got, everybody all putting up pictures and stuff on Instagram, showing off what they got at home and the nice things they got in their neighborhoods. And to add insult to injury, which is hilarious for me actually, we also now have, of course, our Yeezys. We gotta represent the Yeezys. We still love Kanye. Kanye's a little off, but we still love Kanye. But just so you guys know, I just want to say that's a huge, huge example right there of mental health kind of going left is Kanye West. But we ain't gonna talk about that because once again, we don't do that on this show. I can talk about that because it's a lot of examples with him. that you can definitely bring up, argue, etc., etc. But I respect Kanye for everything he's done. I respect him for being an artist. I respect him as being a person. And that's the thing that a lot of people of today do not do when it comes to certain mentalities or certain mental illnesses. They don't really respect these people as people. They're kind of using that as a way of marketing. They're using that as a way of necessarily getting people to click on things, etc. And it's a lot of things I'm noticing with some of these like people who are throwing events and they say it's for a certain mental illness, but like you'll go to the event and like, okay, well, who here has that ailment? And barely anyone has it, or barely anyone, that does have it even really gets a chance to speak and actually let their voice be heard, which is pretty ridiculous. Because it's like, if you're throwing this event for depression, let's say, then why not have something where everyone can take part instead of just presenting them something and then saying, yeah, we did it for depression. So is this an assembly or is this an actual event? Because that's the difference between an event and an assembly. Assembly is when you come, you are just supposed to watch. You don't pay anything, which a lot of these events and stuff they typically say they're free to come to. But once you get in, it's a different agenda. And that agenda is to, okay, sell them this. Try to get them to listen to this. Try to get them to follow this. Try to get them to give you numbers so that way you can take those numbers and you can show someone those numbers and say, I'm this important because I've got this many numbers in this certain area. That is not the way that the world works. That is not the way that you build a community. That is not the way that you help people actually out in this world. I've been sitting on the sidelines and I've been observing this shit for far too long with people. People love doing this thing where it's like, oh, look at me, or as a lot of people call it, the pick me mentality. When you have the pick me mentality, it's like nothing else matters but you and everything that you do or you say. You can't have a mindset like that and actually go out there and try to build something positive. Now, me saying build something positive, we got to talk about just the current state of the world as it is today. I mean, social media is running amok. People got like thousands of followers. Some people are hungry for more followers. Some people use their followers and, as I like to call it, they like literally sell them lemons. You're selling lemons to people who already have lemonade and they don't need your damn lemons. They got all the lemons they can already have in the back inside of a crate. They don't need your lemons because they got enough going on and they don't need that sour shit anywhere near them. But me saying that is because, like I said, crime's running amok. Transportation's in like a weird place because now you got Uber and all this ride sharing stuff going on, which that's a whole nother thing you could talk about as well. Because I'm telling you now, I can name some companies on certain ride sharing, companies who boost up or throw up their prices when they know they are really in need, when those types of things should actually be discounted in those moments because, well, it's things that people can affect, such as the weather. Exactly. And when it's like the weather, or when it's like, like an event or something going on where it's like, the president's down the street. So Uber is going to be for $50, $60 today. Or, it's a blizzard outside. So Lyft is going to cost $40, $50. Yep. That sounds right. But these are the things that all necessarily take place. And all these things, which it's a number of more of them, but all these things take effects on people's mental health. And I already spoke a little bit about it, where when it comes to people's mental health, that's just as important as living an everyday to day life. A lot of people are stuck at 9 to 5s. A lot of people work full time. I know I myself, I'm one of them. I'm not going to say what company I work for, but I am full time after coming back to work from being in a coma. And not only saying just being in a coma, but like I was literally out of the world and gone. But when I came back to this world, it reminded me of the world that I live in. Well, it's just like, something's got to fucking change around here. Like, these people can't go around here and just, assume people can pay anything that they offer, like that they just charge them. Because you got people who, because it's now known to basically get your worth or know your worth. So you got people coming out here who are trying to charge people for things where it's just like, gee, that's something that's a complimentary service, or that's something that's a complimentary thing to do, being a nice person. what the hell do you mean I owe you for doing something that was just being nice? But people have seemed to forget that. And if you wanted to get religious about it, I could show you, you know, biblical passages that, well, biblical scripts, because we're going to call them what they are. They're scriptures. But scriptures, passages, whatever you call them. But I can show you scripture that literally says, you know, you're supposed to do the goodness of your heart because that's what, you know, Jesus died on the cross for. He died for all of our sins. And we have the right to live our lives and commit those sins and also, you know, still pray and be forgiven for it and have our relationships with God or gods. Not sure wherever you fall on this spectrum or on this whole board. But you have the right to seek and live a life just as God did, where you're merciful, you are forgiving, you are thankful, grateful, etc., etc. And you would just want to bless other people, or you would just want to help people. You won't ask for anything in return because you're going to get that in return through a blessing. But you don't know when that blessing will come. But you're forcing people to hand you things or bless you, you know, and then you're calling it a blessing. That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. But in some cases, if they just offer to give that to you, it's a little bit different. That is the blessing. That's where things change. But I'm saying all this to say is that all these things affect people's mental health. And like I said, I've been working full time for a while, and I was out for a coma, and I just came back and been back for probably a couple of months now. And it's okay in the way that, like, all right, this is how the world works. This is the way the world works. Everybody wants something. But it's just necessarily, it's left the question of just like, all right, everybody wants something, but what is people willing to give? What's something that you're willing to give to get what you want? In some cases, it can be money. It could be time. It can be literally your physical body, because that is something that I'm learning very well, coming back from my whole accident and then going right back into working full time. And I had to first learn by simply just making the decision of just like, all right, I'm gonna step away from my second job for a moment. Because yeah, I had 2 jobs before I went out and got into my accident and was in a coma for a couple of days. And when I came back, it was like just trying to catch up with working full time and working a second job that was part time. It didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. I say that to say I did all that just to basically live still a comfortable life that I'm living. And I'm still am blessed in a comfortable life. But of course, I know with hard work comes sacrifice. So me saying that, what I do want to say is that when you are out here in this world and you are making your moves and you're going through all these things that people deal with on an everyday basis, etc., you do want to necessarily always want to think about like, okay, well, all right, well, what is my mental health currently? What is good mental health currently? Like, you know, what's bad mental health feel like? And when you think about these types of things and these questions, that's when things get a little bit more juicy, I want to say, or they get more in detail. And when I'm saying in detail, I mean like, okay, well, let's say you are just like, you know, minding your business and you're just going about your way. And you necessarily are just, you know, coming into contact with just the world around you and stuff like, okay, well, how do you handle that? How do you maintain this level of great mental health and still function in this world of today? And you sometimes, you can, but you can't, if that makes sense. I'm saying you can because you can focus on having like, you know, that great mentality or that great, like, you know, mindset. But the thing is, and please don't get mad at me for this, y'all. But the thing is, when you're having that great mentality or that mindset, you do have setbacks, or you do have moments where you like necessarily sit down and, you know, you don't want to necessarily, give me one second. You don't want to necessarily like think about like, okay, well, this is everything that's going wrong, but you don't want to necessarily sit down and just be like, okay, well, this is all the things that's just wrong. I'm going to make myself feel worse by just thinking about this. So, you know, you're not supposed to necessarily think about that type of stuff, but you're supposed to, here, hold up, we got an ad coming in here, I see. There we go. So, cool. There we go. So you don't want to necessarily think about those types of things. It's always something with my dang on cords or something like interfering. And when these moments come in my life, at least the way I like to think about it, I like to think about it like kind of like almost, it's kind of like the devil coming back around just to bother you or mess with you. And the devil only comes around to mess with you and stuff when you're doing the right thing or you're doing the good things in your path. And I will say I've lived a life where the devil has came and he's tempted me, he's tried me, he's tested me, etc. And I know the devil comes and tries you, he tests you, he bothers you, he messes with you. But those are moments when you have to turn to God and you got to have that relationship with him. You got to talk with him and you got to have faith in him. Faith in him that everything's going to work out. And that's where it comes down to when you have that bad mental health, to get you back into that good mental health. That good mental health of you actually accomplishing things, you getting things done, you actually being a productive member in the world is what you should be looking forward to. So some things that I've done is I've started to habit track. I've started to take a lot more notes. I've started to write a lot more, etc. That's what I've been doing as ways of keeping my mental health in check and also keeping a good setting of mental health. Because like I said, you want to take into account all these things. If you don't take into account all these things, then well, gonna be kind of sitting there a little off. You're gonna be a little off. You're gonna be a little mad. You're gonna be a little sad. You're gonna be a little bit everything. A little bit everything. But the one thing that you want to always do is you want to just keep up with what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's going to give you the fuel that you would need to necessarily keep yourself going through the everyday to day. Now, one thing that I do know about mental health is that with mental health comes mental illness. Give me 1 second. Going through some pages here. So, here we go. Now, when we're asking what is necessarily good mental health, let's go into this a little bit here. So, when you say good mental health necessarily, that is psychological and emotional well-being. For one, let's get started off with just the whole definition of what mental health is. Mental health is a person's psychological and emotional well-being. Once again, a psychological and emotional well-being. Me saying emotional well-being and psychological well-being, let's dumb those down a little further. Psychological, aka logic, which is in the word logical, because logic is in there. So it's having the right logic of how to act when certain things happen to you. And then when you're being emotional, that means that you have a feeling about something. You got a response to something. Like you feel so, you feel ... angry, confused, etc. Those are emotions. So now you're mixing logic with emotion. Logic and emotion. Think about that. Now, mental health is a combination of emotional, physical, and social well-being. This influences cognition, perception, and behavior. So that means that you would think something about something and you'll perceive it in a certain way, or you'll think about it like, okay, for example, certain person comes around you that you don't like. This person may make you confused. So now you're logically just confused. With confusion comes frustration. It comes a certain feeling that comes with that. Some people don't like to be confused. I know when I deal a lot publicly, when I'm working, when I talk to certain people, they don't like for me to tell them too much information about something, but they want just enough information about something to make their own decision. But when you give them too much information, you're kind of impeding on them to the point where you're making them say yes. Sometimes they don't want to say yes. Sometimes they don't really need the thing that they're looking at or thinking about buying. You can push them off the cliff, I say. And I'm saying that just figuratively, because I'm not saying literally go off and push someone off a cliff. No, don't do that. That's stupid. But you can necessarily push them over and make them go like, all right, I'm gonna buy this. Or you can make them step back and look at the situation and go like, do you need that? Is that something that's going to change your life when you buy it? And now if you don't need it, by all means, I feel even with me working in retail full time, that's why I'm not naming my company, because I'm pretty sure they will frown upon this. But I encourage people sometimes to not buy some of the things that they have. And that is simply because I myself, in a personal standpoint, I've started that job where I will come into work the whole first 2 weeks. I came into work, didn't have a penny to my name. I just think I had like a few things here and there, but I wasn't even able to really afford lunch when I was working. Like, you know, you get lunch periods at jobs. Wasn't even able to afford my lunch. But I went to the job with an orange or so like that, like a piece of fruit or something. And I would eat that on my lunch, and people were like, oh man, you're not going to eat all this? You ain't going to eat a chicken sandwich, or you ain't going to go get some Popeyes or something? No, I don't need that. That's something that people have made you think you need, or that's something that you have in your mind. It gives you such a level of comfort. That's something that you do to make yourself feel better. And once I understood this and learned a little bit more about this by studying it, it changed my life. Because then I was able to take a step back and go like, well, if I'm not going to be running this race, then why am I putting money into these people's pockets, et cetera, et cetera. I've also learned it's just like people have certain mentalities or certain things that they have intentions on, or they have certain ulterior motives on, where they want you to do certain things. They want you to buy certain things. They want you to say certain answers because that's the answers they're waiting on, because they've already thought 3-4 steps ahead of you to try to get you to their goal or what they want. Now, me saying that is to just simply say, be careful around those types of people. Be careful around people's intentions with you. Certain people on social media, like I was already referring to earlier in this broadcast, they control the world around them by necessarily putting out a certain image or saying certain things that they know will get certain people to say certain things back to them, or to get people cheering for them, applauding for them, etc. You know how many times I've passed certain artists' posts, and I'm not saying any artist in particular, but certain artists, they'll put up just one picture of themselves, just one picture, and then something that'll be a call of action. Now, I can understand if your call of action was like, okay, go buy my album. It's on this streaming service here. Here's the link, everything. No, it is for come to my show. When is the show? The show's in a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month. But they would just simply solely get just on that platform to just post that one photo. And you would think it would be a flyer. No, it's not a flyer. It's more than likely just one photo of them that they took in the day of them wearing some outfit where they look nice. I'm not going to deny that. But what's the point? What's the point when you're posting up a photo of you looking nice in this one outfit, but you're not at the show? You ain't showing your craft. You ain't showing your gift. You ain't telling me anything that's actually beneficial to me as the person who's looking at your content. What is to be gained here? It's like going to Google and just Googling beautiful, and then just looking at all the photos that don't even say beautiful. They could just be beautiful photos in general. And then just going photo to photo and just liking all these photos. You can do that. I'm sure there's a job out there somewhere where there's some guy who does this, or some girl, or some person, or some automated robot, because you never know. AI is our thing now. But my point is, if you're going to do all these things, if you're going to try to say that you want human interaction or human connection, or you want to build a community, or you want to help your fellow person, etc., then just do that. Just do that. You don't have to show us what you got, or you don't got to show us your face every time. You don't have to say a joke and then just like you're the funniest person on the earth, so you're going to just constantly like not really say that there's other good comedians. You're just going to say you're the best comedian over and over and over again, because now you just sound like you're kind of stuck on yourself, which is not a bad thing in some cases. It's great to have some self-confidence, but self-confidence and, just kind of being stuck on yourself or being obsessed about yourself is just two whole different things. I'm saying being stuck on yourself, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a certain mentality where you can either care about other people around you, or you can care just about yourself. You can care just about everything that you do necessarily. You can be narcissistic. And when you're narcissistic, it's a very funny thing that I'm saying narcissism. I'm trying to avoid that word because people throw that word around a lot. And I'm saying people throw that word around a lot, but I find it funny because a lot of people that are narcissistic say that people are narcissistic, or they accuse people of being narcissistic all the time. So you just want to talk about yourself. Yeah, because I don't want to hear you talk about all these things that you can do. And it's funny that I'm saying that because I know I'm definitely one of those people who I tell people sometimes some of the things that I've learned or some of the things that I've experienced. But the funniest thing about it is I've been accused of being narcissistic. And the way that actually, if I was able to explain it to them, because these type of people who typically accuse me of saying that I was narcissistic, they wouldn't let me explain how I'm not being narcissistic, when it's just like, yeah, I'm being narcissistic telling you about an event I want to do where I just want to, curate basically a bunch of other people to play their music. Yeah, that's narcissistic. You're right. Makes total sense. Because I want my music to play every moment. No, that's not even what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I would like to make a platform where other people can showcase their ideas or their music or their feelings, expressions, and they can actually have them heard. A lot of people don't really want to listen to people anymore these days. A lot of people's attention span is basically in the shitter, or it's in the toilet at this point, because things like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc., it's made our senses so bland and so like short spanned that we can't even see something for 5 minutes without going like, okay, why am I watching this? But a lot of you will watch movies with actors or actresses that you don't even agree with, and you'll watch the whole damn movie. 2 hours, an hour and 50, hour 40, whatever. You'll watch the whole damn thing and then still just walk away and go like, that was a good movie. It's like, all right, what was the movie about? Yeah, it was a movie with, blah, blah, and blah, blah. And, they got into this and they did this and then this happened. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. You should go see it. No, I shouldn't go see it. And I'm going to say why I shouldn't go see it. I shouldn't go see it because you can't even formally tell me what you learned from that movie. You just know a certain person was in there who you just found acceptable to look at. And you just watched a whole damn film about this person and wasted over I wouldn't say over 2 hours, but at least over an hour and 30 you've wasted of your life just watching this shit. And in some cases, when it's Netflix and you binge watching this stuff, some of you guys waste like several hours on some shit. I've got a few friends who love to binge watch, and I don't knock them for it because they make the time out to binge watch. But when I hear about some of the people that binge watch and they're telling me that like as it's a good thing, I'm like, okay, you binge watch the show, but you don't have a full-time job. That doesn't make sense, like, at all, unless your full-time job is to binge watch shows, which there is, once again, work for that, but you're not doing it. So what the fuck was the point? I say all this to say, mental health is one of those things you got to take into account for yourself, and you can't get caught up in these systems. You can't get caught up in these 9-to-5s, these transportation issues, and all these other things going on around you. I know people's going to have problems left and right, but the one thing is, and people try to do this all the time, it's a very funny thing because this is actually kind of slightly a narcissistic behavior when you feel that everyone's problems don't matter as much as your problems. So you're going to pull all these people to your problem to fix your problem, and then When they're done fixing your problem, you're not going to help them or look even their way to even give them a hand in whatever they got going on without you gaining from it. That's a narcissistic way of thinking. I know a few people like that. Once again, we ain't going to name names. We ain't going to say no businesses, etc., etc. But my point is, that's a whole nother problem in this day and age with people that we have to deal with. People have got to learn to understand that people need time. People aren't all equal as far as it goes physically, mentally, even when it comes to endurance, movement, etc. Because I know some people can't move the way that I move. I move quicker than some people, but some people are more patient than me. But I've been described as a man of having extreme patience. But yeah, I've still met people who is more patient than me, who I'm just like, damn, how do you do it? It's our job to go around, and we're supposed to take every day as a learning experience. And we're supposed to also take it as a blessing and be grateful for the day, but also not be afraid to go out and actually learn some things. Go out and actually, like, do things and actually, like, gain knowledge in this world. Because, I mean, hey, what's going to happen when you leave this world? Can't take anything physically here with you. So all these physical items, all these things that you worship in and stuff, your TVs, your iPhones, your Yeezys, as we was talking about earlier, that all ain't coming with you when you die. You just gone. That's it. And all the people around you are going to be like vultures, and they're going to take those things away. Because the minute you die, it's going to be like, oh, okay, I get the TV, I get the Yeezys, I get his car. I'm taking everything from this man. Unless you bestowed that upon somebody, which in that type of case, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, oh, we sad. He died. But at the same time, he was blessed with something. Don't you wonder why you was blessed with that? Because that person came into your life. You met them for that specific reason. That was a blessing in there in itself. Now, if you were grateful, if you was thankful for that person, if you would have spent time actually getting to know that person, then maybe you would actually feel something when they passed on. You would actually take care of those items that they gifted or bequeathed upon you. Now, I do want to say this one last final little note before I go, because I've been on here for far too long, because I made it a goal of just doing 30 minutes of these talks. Mental health is necessarily one of those things you want to always be having in your mind. No puns intended, but you want to always have it on your brain because it determines how you handle stress, how you handle interpersonal relationships, and it basically is the borderline on how you handle your decision making. So just relax, because life is stressful, but let's just be blessed more. So just get comfortable for you and do what you got to do to make it to the next day. It's your boy, DJ and producer from the south side of Chicago, Jeremy Heights. And yeah, this is just us having a little chit chat here and there, and we're going to be back soon. Because I'm going to be doing a lot more of these because, yeah, people need talking lessons, and they need communication lessons on just how to talk to one another. So here I am, I guess, fulfilling my life's purpose. I have a lot of experience talking to people, and I've lived in multiple states at this point, and I've met a lot of people from different walks of the life. And that's actually an answer, as of a lot of people ask me all the time, why are you so nice? That's why I'm nice, because I've met a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've experienced a lot of things to the point where, yeah, now kind of people are just like my mission. Like, my mission is not to necessarily put myself out there, but my mission is to simply just to tell people what I know, give them my experience, so that way they can learn and they can do better, and we can all do better. So you guys have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.